Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, we're going to talk about NVIDIA 50 series announcement. So let's dive deep into it. So this was just announced, that's the big deal, and it happened on 6th January CES 2025, I think in Las Vegas. And this architecture is named as Blackwell. Now, does knowing the architecture name important? Absolutely, specifically for basically compute cards. Many of compute cards already had the naming like 40 and 30 and all that, but they could be latest ones. So that's why please pay attention to this name, Blackwell generation. They will have that in the box, especially for small form factor cards. So Blackwell architecture, that's the whole new ecosystem that NVIDIA built. And this puppy for common people has 4 cards available. One is 5090, 5080, 5070 Ti, 5070. And launching is in two cards. So you're going to have 4090 and 5080 in February first week. And you're going to have 70 series in March first week. Now let that be very clear. It could be delayed or it could be very early. But that's the time zone, so to say. And pricing is very interesting. Now, let that be very clear. You must remain sharp. I will explain why that pricing seems a bit too spicy. Let's dive deep into it. Now, what about the technology, this Blackwell technology? Yeah, NVIDIA has moved past us flat out. Let that be very clear. This is not the same NVIDIA of 1990s. This is not the same NVIDIA of 2010 or even 2018. I think that's when they started to make the switch. Yeah, they are basically a compute card manufacturer. They have a compute card CPU and they're like, okay, what if we just package it as a GPU? This is not a GPU launch. This is a compute card launch with graphics programming. So AI is their bread and butter now. And again, you can watch their whole 2-hour system. Everything is about compute rather than a graphics. It's about compute. So what does that mean? That simply means they are not even focusing on rasterization. Meaning, if you compare their older generational launches, let's say 70 series to 90 series to 10,000 series, 10,000, I'm saying 1,000 series, you will see a very significant jump in rasterization. But you compare recent launches, especially from 40 to basically 50, rasterization is not like, whoa, it's barely like, You're telling me that 50 series card is running Cyberpunk at 26 frame per second with ray tracing on? What the hell? That's okay. Now you have to do super resolution and artificial frame generation. Then it's like 240 frame per second. So what does this mean for you? Well, as a graphics engine, the silicon that they are dedicating to graphics, that is no longer growing as much as they used to. Because again, you can compare, this is on their website, compare this to 1600. All this technology started to switch from RTX jump. RTX jump is the same time when they started to realize there is far more money to be made in self-driving ecosystem. And then it slowly triggered into compute card. Then it turned to AI hype. So they have been slowly realizing that silicon wafer, if they process, put money into rasterization, basically actually rendering the frame, it's not that profitable. But if they are like, okay, well, let's focus on AI. And it's like, okay, cool, awesome. So you have 2 frames, render AI in between. Okay, is that useful? Absolutely. That is shut up, take money for self-driving cars, because again, they have to do the same thing, projecting how forward vehicles are gonna behave, again, to some extent. And that's why latency reduction and all that, all these technology from a car manufacturer's point of view is shut up, take money. And NVIDIA is capitalizing on that. And again, they are making far more core chips for robotics. I did not even know Boston Dynamics was using that. I always thought Boston Dynamics will have their own custom FPGAs, but no, they're using NVIDIA chips. I'm like, damn. It makes sense. Basically, that's why they were talking about self-driving cars, AI data clusters, and bots, because these are printing money. So GPU is just a second thought now. And that's why rasterization jump from 40 to 50 is almost negligible. Of course, I do expect the engineers who are working on rasterization, they would have made some improvement, but it would not be like, okay, take as much money as you can, double the performance. But the AI department is like, here's free money, go YOLO on it, double it, triple it. So we went from, okay, for her between every rendered frame, we're going to insert 1 AI frame to, yeah, between every real frame, as in actually computer drawn, we're going to render from AI 3 frames. So 50 series now puts 3 freaking frames between every frame. What the hell? And they're trying to push it to 5 frames now. So let that be very clear. The jump is not as magnificent as a graphics engine, but it is as magnificent as an AI equipment. And does that mean important things for you? Yeah, you do not need to jump from 40 series. If you have 40 series, you're good, you're cool, do not worry about it. You do not be like, oh, my card is 27, I'm getting this. No. So that will be very clear. They are making brains for robots, brains for self-driving car, brain for supercomputers, hyperclusters. We are a very small fish at this point in time. This was the first time. It's like they are trying so hard to cover it as a graphics card. It's like, bro, just say it. Just say it. Just let it go. So don't get to like, oh, new card, I need to buy it. I do expect like by 6,000, 7,000, they will have significant jump. Again, I do expect rasterization engines to keep getting improved, but that's a low priority now. And in this generation, that has rarely gotten any upgrades, and they're not even talking about it. So what is their flagship card or Halo GPU? Now, Halo GPU simply means that Halo thing that Angel's supposed to have. It simply allows you to know that like this is on a whole different level. And if you ask its price, you are at the fault. Let that be very clear. You cannot compete price wise for Halo class product. It's like going to Patek Philippe and asking how expensive is the watch. It's like, bro, you're not made for it if you have to ask the price. So same thing. So what does this mean? This simply means this card is for people, money is not an object for them, and they want power. They just want to have all the power. Now here's the why this card then? Well, there is card that is even higher than this. That is called enterprise card, compute cards, Quadro series cards. Yeah, those are so expensive. This becomes free in contrast. So this Halo, NVIDIA is slowly trying to fill in this blank. So you have poor people graphics card, Halo card, and then you have daddy cards. Now NVIDIA only wants to make daddy card, but you do want to take care of the people who put you there. So it's like some GPU, take it and go. So Halo card is there. Now the biggest thing here is that 32 gigs of DDR7, GDDR7 graphics, which has bandwidth of basically the throughput of 1792 gigabytes per second. That means if you have a large LLM model, it can do some serious crunching, like some serious crunching. And again, the silicon is actually improved for that. So if you are trying to do large LLMs and you cannot afford those flagship cards that have they had like 48 gigabyte cards long ago. So like they are now reaching at 28 gigabytes VRAMs. If you cannot afford that, then in this scenario, this is like the next best you can afford. And it has 512-bit bus, meaning it's fat pipe, meaning you're crunching the 50 million parameter models, 50 billion parameter models. This puppy can handle it. So this is a very shut up, take money if you are in that category. Or if you are like, I do some sort of video editing that can utilize GPU VRAM, in those sort of scenarios, some renderings, some applications do need that. They are like shut up, take money. If you are doing a VFX studio and you directly want to render it on screen, because generally they do not want to do, render farm for TV shows VFX, and real-time VFX is actually getting very good. And if you give it time, good amount of oomph, you can render some serious frames on a single desktop. So those sort of people will be like, shut up, take money, this is for me. So that's all cool, but the wattage is a bit spicy. This puppy is 575 watt. Now why that is spicy? The connector they are using, the connector's max rating is 600 watts. That's spicy. Now in 3000 series, when this connector was introduced, they were really sloppy with their power management. So surge currents were very high. So it was like, okay, I'm consuming 400 watts, 1400 watts. And it's like, what the hell? And many power supplies used to trip a lot for that. And then they improved it. 40 series, I have that. And it's like, me cool. So I do expect this to be ultra cool, because if it has even a little bit of surge, it will trip that 600 watt limitation. So it's spicy, it's tight, it's too tight. Now, I do think Rastor engines did not get the money, but thermal engineers got some serious pay rise. They're like, okay, here's a blank check, make me a cooler. This is a freaking 2-slot card, man. How the heck that happened? How the heck they put 600 watt of thermal dissipation on a freaking 2 card slots? This is a complete redesign. Let that be very clear. All the money that went into this is a complete redesign. It's like, okay, how the heck are we gonna do this? What if we have clean slate? So this is the really truly improving part. Like this part, I'm like, somebody got some good interest here. So that's there. All the blend services like our DLSS and all that is there. And price is very, very reasonable, $2,000. And in Indian rupees, that's 2,14,000 only. Heck, my whole computer is just a bit more than that. So this is the Halo GPU. Again, if you are in those sort of ecosystem where you need this RAM and you're like, okay, why not just go to higher than? Yeah, you can try to that, but price goes exponentially. If 2,000 is higher, $35,000 for those flagship cards would be like, yeah. So let that be very clear. GPU, Halo cards, enterprise. Now, what about for people card? Now, for people card, you have 5070, that is $550, 60,000 rupees for 12 gigabyte of VRAM. And you're like, what if I want a bit more oomph than that? And basically, it plays for texture to default. And again, the hassle between 12 and 16 is if your card is 16 GB, the game developers like you simply because there's the same texture bandwidth, I would say, used for PlayStation and all that. So all those games are designed for that sort of VRAM. If you scale it down to 12, it's a very painful thing. They have to re-optimize everything, which they generally don't do. So that's why. So if you're like, I just do not want to deal with it, I'm also in the same boat, man. I also have to buy 12 gigabyte. I justified it to myself as like, hey, I am coming from 8 gigabyte 1070, so I'm cool. So that's why you have two options, 60,000 rupees and 80,000. So $550 to jumping to TI moniker, you're gonna have to pay $750. And then you have 5080, and this puppy is $900, or translating to 1,07,000. Damn, that's expensive. So that has 16 gigabyte. And the jump up from basically 70 Ti to 80, I would say for most people, 70 Ti should be a very good bet. It's not too ludicrously expensive, nor it's too limited, because again, you have to understand, nobody wants to optimize games. It's not fun. I have done that. That was my job. It's not fun. So trust me, nobody does that. And nobody's going to run it and all that. So trust me, get 16 GB if possible. So they are great if you are happy with AI generation frames. It's not a real raster engine upgrade. So you will not expect like, oh, my games was like, this good and now it went whoa good. That jump is not there. That's not the same jump that people were experienced jumping from 900 series to Pascal's jump. That 900 to 1000 series, that was a big jump. That jump is not here in raster. But your frame rate will go up simply because it can do super sampling and it can do frame generation. So FPS will go up, but like actual raster performance is not like that. Those muscles are not improving. Other muscles have improved. So that is there. And what does this all mean? All these numbers mean? If you have a 40 series card, you're not, losing much unless VRAM is an issue. In those scenarios, if you need VRAM, you need VRAM. Although I'm confused, why the heck they directly went from 16 gigs to jumping directly to 32? It's like, what about 24? I think AMD can do some serious damage here if they price it correctly. So this is for people card, poor people. Then we come to the pricing. Now let this be very clear. This is why I said you have to understand the pricing that you are seeing. The likelihood of you getting it is very tight. The reason is NVIDIA is a habit of bleeding the partners, meaning you take Asus, you take PowerCore, XFX, Gigabyte, MSI, all the vendors, even EVGA. What NVIDIA does is like, hey, this is my flagship cards. This is not flagship, I would say. This is my founder edition card. I think that started with Pascal series, 1000 series cards. So they're like, okay, this is my, now here's the NVIDIA controls everything of that. Everything. It's almost designed and built by NVIDIA, but it's like mass produced by other companies. So they do that. Then what's the problem? Well, the problem is they lock the price, meaning a vendor cannot be like, okay, you are taking this much cut from us. To justify this card, we have to make this much profit, let's say 10% profit. Just go with that number. NVIDIA is like, I do not care. The final number has to be this. Now, again, in the early days, they were very cool, very chill, but then slowly started to by 30 series, it was like, yeah, it's no longer economical. So what does that mean? That simply means at this point, all the 40 series reference card or like founder edition card, they will be launched as first batch because NVIDIA demands it, and then it will just go poof. Why? This is the chart. The gross margin of NVIDIA is going up while the margins of AI-based, basically the board partners, they are going down. Meaning it's not in their economical interest to make those founder edition cards. That's why the pricing of founder edition card is very first batch kind of price. Meaning once the first batch goes away, yeah, gone, bye, done. It will not come back. Again, you may have some stock got stuck somewhere, then randomly it's like, hey, we made 15 batches, only 14 sold, and we forgot about that last batch. And again, companies also want to jump very quickly. That's why even my 40 series, I bought it like very new when it was like launched. Again, that time we had a lot of pricing issues simply because of pandemic and all that. But it was very difficult to find those cards, like flat out not available. The only card that was available was Asus Tough card. Again, why? Asus Tough card was more expensive than the reference card. But again, reference card was not profitable for Asus to make. So they are like, hey, either we make the card or we don't make the card, or we just go EVGA route where it's like, peace, I'm out. So fundamentally, the pricing that they are showing, it's basically done that, look at us, we are so in touch with the people, we are making cheap graphics card for poor people, we are so awesome, stock market price go up. And then they're like, vendors are like, so let that be very clear. All the pricing that you are seeing, take it with a very huge grain of salt, unless you are buying right now. If you're just like, book right now. And again, I'm reasonably sure companies will try to like, booking charges and all that to like actually make some profit. Again, NVIDIA is doing bit too mean. Now, I do think somebody in NVIDIA looked at Intel and they're like, boss, hear me, boss. Somebody's smart there. Somebody's really good. The jump that happened from A series to B series is freaking crazy. And the jump then in ray tracing from A series to B series is faster than what AMD did, even though they are established brand. It's like, and again, they are smart. A series was highly cost because again, that was the first thing. They could not afford that, loss leading product. So they made sure that people grind through it. Just like, just give us a time. Just grind through it, man. Come on. Good things are coming. And then they're like, okay, now here's the good thing. Now more people will buy. And again, at this point in time, flat out is the very cheap option. If 12 GB VRAM is the maximum you're going to get, might as well buy Intel and save a lot of money. That money can go into better processor, a better RAM. And again, those things will have direct productivity boost for you if your computer is not only a gaming machine. So there is a genuine advantage there. And again, even if you are not only focusing on basically CPU and RAM, you also have to understand SSDs are not free. They are expensive. And PCI 5.0 SSDs, yeesh, those puppies are expensive. So you may be like, hey, rather than having like very limited, one gum stick that is like, 1 terabyte, what if I buy 2 terabyte or maybe even 4 terabyte? So you may be far more helped. You may have a better experience in a computer if you have bigger SSDs. So Intel is a very good option, and somebody in NVIDIA does know that. Otherwise, there is no way in hell the 4070 would have been that cheap. Or at least they are pretending to be that cheap. That would not have happened. I can guarantee you somebody in Intel talked, or somebody in NVIDIA looked closely. It's like, that jump means they are basically, I would say, 3 jumps away. Again, they will not have the CUDA advantage, but their raster engines are like getting good. And again, more than enough people want to jump away from CUDA. Again, from safety point of view, you never want all your eggs in one basket. You do not like, oh, we are running this super amazing AI engine, and it's like, yeah, NVIDIA poofed one mistake in CUDA pipeline, and it's like, yeah, we are bricked. You do not want that. And other companies, for safety reason, we cannot use that. If our competitors are using the same pipeline, we cannot use that. So they want to. And again, their AMD is also there. So people want to build a new pipeline, which again, people are working. So supporting Intel right now, it's a very good move for your long-term future. If you are like, hey, I'm a gamer and I want gaming to be a thing where people can buy awesome computers and have awesome experience, buy Intel. And you're not going to regret it, especially with B series. It's really good. Like, it's good. So flat out. And at this point in time in Indian market, I do expect ASRock and Acer cards of Intel to reach market before we get 50 series NVIDIA card, mass production card. Like again, some cards will be in the market, but I think those will be or even auctioned off very quickly. So pricing wise, you may find still, even after this launch, Intel to be a better bet. Now, what about AMD? Now, let me be very clear. I have explained this time and time again. NVIDIA's performance is here. Whether you like it or not, agree to it or not, doesn't matter. Just this is where it is. AMD is here. Now, here's the AMD's pricing is here. They are like, oh, you are paying $1,000 for a graphics card. Okay, we're going to give you our card at $950. It's like, you will lose market share. Oh, tada, they are losing market share for last 5 years. I'm not even joking. I was shocked. But again, it makes sense. If you're like, hey, yeah, my performance is here, my pricing is here. What if I just pay this thing and be like, okay, I'm not a poor person anymore. Now I have NVIDIA's performance. That's why their market share is like literally losing by 1% share per year of new card launches, so to say, new cards sold. They have to fix their pricing. There's nothing wrong with the card, everything wrong with the pricing. And somebody in Intel knew that. So pricing is a very deep rabbit hole, so to say. That's why all the flagship prices do. And again, Intel is like doing so smart. They're like, we know that pricing cannot be maintained. So they're like, board partners, give us your price estimate. That's why the board partners are showcased in Intel launch, not in NVIDIA launch. You have to pay attention to these things. So this was my presentation on RTX 5000 series. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do like to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.